Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon coming to you from my local area, Phoenix, Arizona. But as is normal, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Mr. Tim James, who is out of the country. He's in Colombia, I believe. Is that right, Timmy?
Yep. Yeah, I'm down here in it's out of Medellin, Colombia. It's a little, I think, east of there. It's called Rio Negro. And we just had another successful influencers retreat to open up this new healing resort down here. So I suggest everybody check it out at Mountains of Hope. And we actually open it up to a 1-week signature retreat besides the 2 weeks. So people can, because I mean, people are coming down here. We've had 34 people here in 2 events, and every one of them completely changed their life. Like even people I'm like, wow, they're pretty solid. They're good. They're not good. They're, some pretty advanced spiritual, still life-changing. I'm just like, wow, there's something about this place. It's pretty magical. So pretty excited to be a part of that, and excited for our guest today, Andrew. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andrew, by the way, we love having first on the show, right? We were talking pre-show that, we're sneaking up on about 100 episodes, right? But this is the first time we've actually had my co-host be in Colombia. So you're here for a first.
I'll take it. I love it.
All right. Awesome. Well, hey, enrichers, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. And I want to go ahead and bring in Andrew Nemes, financial advisor in Novi, Michigan, who is trying to stay warm there this time of year, the wintertime there in Novi. Andrew, thank you again so much for being on the show today.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
So sit back, relax, enjoy, stay warm. If you are in some of those colder areas, I'm sure Tim is probably enjoying the weather there in Colombia and South America.
78 degrees today. It was awesome.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Andrew, I'm very excited about hearing your backstory. You've got a unique background. You've got some specialties that you have, some disciplines that are unique to most financial advisors, which I'm sure that we'll get into it. But let's go back and, discuss a little bit about, what it was that brought you into, I think it's a family business that you have already, but let's talk about, what it was that helped you to pursue wanting to have a heart for helping people in the financial advisory services.
Yeah. So it really all started with my dad. So my dad, Charlie, he has been an advisor for coming up on 40 years. Still loves it, still in every day working. So he basically, ingrained in us, save, invest. He'd tell us stories from work, no personal details, of course, but from helping his clients, so that's kind of how it all started. And before he became a financial advisor, he got into the business when he was almost 30. So he was a CPA first. He worked at one of the big firms, and then he worked for my uncle who had a firm of his own. So it was really my dad from the start who kind of got us interested in it and said, hey, why don't you read this, magazine on the plane and tell me a company, buy a share of it. Just something to, spur our imagination and get us going. So it's kind of always been around the house growing up. So for me, he said, if you want to get into this business, you should first get your CPA or an equivalent designation and work and learn about how business actually operates and, how the numbers all fit together for going from a business down to someone's personal tax return and, learning the structure of U.S. laws and business, in general. So that's what I did. I went to Michigan State. I graduated in 2017 and then spent the next year taking, just finishing up classes. You need 30 more credits to be a CPA than you do for any other degree. So it's kind of a pain, but spent the next year taking the CPA exam and just finishing up credits. And then I worked at Deloitte in international tax for 2.5 years. And then After that, I left and worked at UHY, which is a mid-sized firm here in Michigan, and you have a couple branches elsewhere in the country. So I worked there for 2.5 years doing everything from corporations to partnerships to individual returns. So really learned a lot.
Nice. Well, that's awesome, by the way. And I love your, your couple of disciplines that I realized, from seeing your website and obviously your bio will be in here for all of the enrichers to check it out. And I noticed you were a CPA, but that all started with your dad. So your dad, and maybe I missed this, was he a CPA first and then a financial advisor, which is what he told you to do as well?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So he worked for, I guess it would be, back then you didn't need a 5th year. So yeah, he worked for 8 years in the CPA world and then realized he wanted to get out. He has a great personality. I think it was just killing him being, and in that day and age, writing out tax returns are the very beginnings of computers. It's just not as fun, not as rewarding for some people. So he thought, well, what can I do? So he started at Merrill back then. So yeah, he told us it's probably better to actually have a background that's really applicable to the business world before you start into this world.
Yeah. So really the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, is
Mm-mm.
perfectly suited for you then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, both my parents are CPAs, and one of my 2 brothers. Not to mention a bunch of my aunts and uncles. So it's a family affair, that's for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. So what was it like, growing up with, that type of a, mentality of a parent, very probably fairly conservative, right? Sort of make sure you're keeping running a tight ship, right? So was it, did it seem like your life growing up was sort of boring, or was it a lot more fun than maybe the listeners might assume that it was growing up for you?
Yeah, no, it was very fun. Yeah, we did a ton of stuff together. My dad never missed a sporting event for any of us, or for me, band concerts and sporting events and things like that. So we always did everything together. Sports. We're a very competitive family, so we had fun. Like whatever it was, wrestling, racing, anything we could do. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so no, it was great. Yeah, it does sound. Yeah, kid of 2 CPAs sounds like it would not be as exciting, but yeah, we had a great time. Yeah, we were raised right here in Novi, so yeah, it was perfect. We all played a bunch of sports, and yeah, no complaints on that end.
Nice, awesome. So you graduated in 2017, and obviously, for those listeners out there that aren't seeing, you're a fairly young guy and everything. So, as you've been transitioning into, CPA and financial advisor, are you sort of like the junior advisor and you're still like learning under the tutelage of your dad, or how has that transition been for you in your progress?
Yeah. So for many of our clients, we'll have 2 or more advisors on the account. In general, it's run as silos, you could say. So I have my own book of business and my goals and everything like that. And each advisor, there's 6 of us. We each have our own silo, but there's a lot of cross pollination. We'll have sometimes any mix of advisors. So my dad and I are on a few together. I sit in on a bunch of meetings with him, of course. So yeah, I still learn. I meet with my brother Chris and my dad all the time, ask them questions, listen to calls, things like that. So always learning, and I'm currently taking classes to get my CMA, which is Certified Investment Management Analyst. So a couple
Yeah.
more letters, but yeah, I just love. It's just so interesting. So that's made it easy for me to transition because I actually enjoy reading all the technical stuff about whatever investments or estate planning or insurance. So it hasn't been too tough of a transition in that way.
Yeah. So what type of just out of curiosity, what type of influence did your mom have on you then whenever you were growing up, whether it was from sports or, where you're eventually at as a financial advisor?
Yeah, well, she's got to be one of the nicest ladies of all time. So compassion, a lot of just always doing things for other people and putting herself first. I mean, last, not first. So yeah, that's just a great lesson that obviously applies to all business, but especially this business. You have a fiduciary duty, right? So always got to put client's interest above your own. So I think that's really probably the biggest thing that rubbed off on all of us.
Nice. So you're the youngest of three boys, you said, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So how were the competitive juices flowing between, the sibling rivalry growing up, and has it, benefited you as you are now, a financial advisor for Nemes Rush?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a lot of times my brother was just in, he lives in San Diego, my oldest brother. He was in town. So the three of us were there and we were watching my niece and nephew go up the stairs. And we're all reminiscing on how my dad would put me 3 steps up, my middle brother 1 step up, and my oldest brother at the bottom, and say, race. And we'd all go up and just be, chaos on the way up. So he always had us competing, whatever it was. We all played lacrosse. Our oldest brother started us on that. And then, Chris, who works here, and I followed in his footsteps. So we'd always be tossing around, playing, summer ball in the yard, everything. So yeah, it was just a great environment. I think it definitely spilled over here because it is a competitive business. Of course, you got to have self-confidence, which is instilled from, the challenges of whatever it is, team sports, or having to focus on a piece of music and learn it, for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I think that competitive advantage is very beneficial in this business for sure.
Nice. Awesome. So, as you have, grown up there in the Midwest, we were having a little conversation pre-show that you have had a chance to get out to the western part of the United States, and, you came out with family. So there's been a nice balance from what I've heard you say about before. And I would imagine that balance has probably helped you out in your career as well.
Yeah, definitely. We were big skiers as well. So we get out to Breckenridge, places like that, and another place to compete on the slopes, of course. So we'd be racing and scaring my mom. She's more of on the greens, we're up in the bowls. But yeah, no, we went to Arizona, like I told you. We vacationed in Sedona, so just a few times. And now our oldest brother, like I said, lives in San Diego, so we're out there at least once a year visiting him. Which I've never been really to that far south in California, so really different world, which has been great. So we've been lucky enough to be able to travel, and Utah, Colorado, Arizona, California. So yeah, it's been great.
Nice. Awesome. So again, and I know we're coming up against the clock here from the first segment, but it sounds like to me you're just getting started. And is there a girlfriend? Is there is there any prospects for anybody that you're dating or anyone, or are you just pretty much focused on your own career right now?
Yeah, I don't have any dating prospects right now because I'm married. So I got to put that on.
Okay, you're married. Good.
So we got to let my wife know. But yeah, I'm married. I just got married actually on 11/11/22. So as an accountant, that's perfect. You can't forget that one. Can't ever forget, the anniversary. So yeah, I've been married for just over a year, and actually we have our first kid is 3 months old. So I have a daughter. It's been quite busy. Heck of a year. I started on 11/15/22. So within a year, I got a new job, got married, and I had a kid. It's been quite a 12-month period.
Wow. Well, from there, you can do pretty much anything if you can, survive that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's a whole lot of weight on the shoulders at the same time. So I'm glad it's, we're easing into
It'll push you
normality.
to greatness. It'll definitely push you to greatness. That's for sure.
That's right.
It helps.
That's right.
I remember when I had my first kid, I was like, oh, it's so weird. I never worried about paying the bills or rent or nothing, but I mean, maybe a couple times, but then it's like, well, I could always sleep on my buddy's couch. Now it's like, you got a family. You just can't really throw people around. Hey, let's go over there.
Yeah. No more couch surfing, unfortunately. So those days are over.
Well, thanks for sharing your backstory, Andrew. Appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll dive into more what he's doing over in the financial realm with his clients. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to Estate Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house we've got Andrew Nemes. Hopefully I said that right. Looks Nemes, right? Nemes.
Nemes, yeah, yeah.
Nemes. That even sounds cooler.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
Like
right.
Joe Dirt. It's like Joe Dirt Day. It's better.
Yeah.
I like it better.
That's
I haven't
right.
seen that in a while. Have you guys seen that? You seen the movie? You guys haven't seen
Oh,
the movie? Yeah, it's
Mhm.
freaking hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Well, cool. Well, we left off. Andrew's not dating. He's very busy with his financial practice and his wife and child. So anyway, congratulations on that. That's pretty cool, dude.
Thank you.
So what's going on over at your business? I really like it that you had the CPA background because you automatically are bringing that component to you when you're doing financial planning, whereas a financial advisor would have to go out and engage with the CPA and corral them and their clients together along with an estate planning attorney. And so you've already got two of the three. Do you guys have estate planning in-house, or are you sourcing it with Carter, or what are you doing?
Yeah, we don't do it in-house. We don't prepare tax returns either. But yeah, no, it definitely helps in terms of just knowing, you've seen your clients have liquidity events, which is obviously very common in this business. If someone has worked for 30 years, all of a sudden they got a pot of money they don't know what to do with. So that's it's definitely good to have. Actually, my cousin Brian, who's a partner here, he was an estate planning attorney beforehand. So we all always, good resource for questions. And then Chris, my brother Chris, myself and my dad and Mike, we're all CPAs. So yeah, if I don't know something, someone knows it. But to actually prepare the document, we outsource it. Yeah.
Oh, good. I was just saying it's definitely a family affair over there. That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you guys get along at work and at home, or how's that dynamic? What's that like?
Yeah, luckily we all like each other, so it's a pretty good start for for a family business. It's not always the case. So
Good.
yeah, it's we're really quite focused at work. So not as much chit chatting really, but yeah, everyone's so knowledgeable that it's really just pretty easy to get your stuff done and ask questions and learn more.
Yeah.
Sit in on all the meetings.
Well, I know Carter's ready to dig in, so I'm going to let him loose here.
Yeah, I'll dig in, and so I'm just curious. You mentioned earlier that your dad still works in the business because you sit in on meetings with him and everything. So talk a little bit about what the clientele looks like, since you kind of have this little bit of a team effort, right? You've got your own practice, right? But you don't silo out. Typically, it looks like you're working as a team on a lot of this stuff. So what does the clientele look like that you're ideally looking to work with there?
Yeah, so I'd say probably 40 to 50% of our clients are physicians. Private practice, of course, where you're no longer a W-2 employee. You own your own business, and obviously there's more money that comes with that, more responsibility as well. So that means less time to manage your finances. So a lot of physicians, and then a lot of entrepreneurs, of course. Anyone with businesses ranging from construction to building, whatever. We have all sorts of entrepreneurs. I mean, in Michigan, of course, there's a lot of auto executives too. It's a big portion of anyone's book, I would assume. So it's pretty varied, but I'd say if you had to, the largest minority would be physicians.
Gotcha. Awesome. And then, so talk a little bit about, you said you just started about a year ago, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Um, that was, I mean, right, like post COVID and everything. But what was it like? If do you remember much about what it was like, and maybe talking with your dad or your brother or whatever, that are older, and what were some of the maybe challenges that they had to overcome during, COVID with client meetings and things of that nature?
Yeah, that was a real shock. As far as the market dropping, that was the real, 30%. That was by March 20th, 20. That was quite a hammer. So that was the biggest challenge. And then, these days, everyone is so used to Zoom. I mean, most people didn't really care. Most people still, if they're more than 45 minutes away, they're like, yeah, just send me the Zoom link. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter for them. Uh, for the older clientele, of course, they're now really happy to be coming back in. So, and for them, it was more phone calls and Zoom if they can make it work with the older clientele. But now it's so normal to just do what we're doing right now, pull up the statements, performance reports, and everything. And you can even, of course, it's just easy to call in the estate planning attorney. He'll join just like another face if it's a problem, if there's something that needs to be resolved. So it's really quite smooth. And I think especially the under 40 crowd just is really comfortable with hopping on their computer and not driving. So
Yeah, well, no doubt about it. And it's interesting as we've interviewed, quite a few advisors throughout the country over this, the last 3 years. That theme has been pretty much the same theme, that their clients, kind of got accustomed and acclimated to having virtual meetings and everything, and that the willingness and acceptance of it a lot of times is beneficial for everybody, right? You don't have to get in your car and drive to the office or whatever, but having that option now, I'm sure is a lot better now. But you didn't really experience that if you just got started there about a year ago, right? You didn't have to worry too much about those challenges on who did what, but I'm sure you heard plenty of horror stories.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I was lucky enough to miss that. I was a CPA during that time, so it's kind of just instead of being in an office doing a tax return, you were in your house. So made it a little difficult, but that's really not too out of the range for a CPA to be locked in an office or in their room all day. That's busy season anyway. So yeah, we do love in-person meetings though. So if our clients can come in, we still love that. We have a brand new office that we built, so we really love having people in here.
Yeah, you want to show it off, right?
That's
The
right.
digs. You got your own office. You got your chair. You like to be able to have them come in, press the flesh a little bit, and um, you know, get a chance to really build that relationship a little bit better that way. But
Yeah.
I was just curious because again, the theme is even some of those older generations, they were sort of forced into becoming comfortable like online,
Mhm.
right? So it does make it nice to have that option from time to time, even some of those older, maybe more technologically challenged clients, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people love coming. I still have a fair amount of my clients who are within 30 minutes who love to come in. When you People like to get out of the house too, right? I mean, people are so cooped up that you say, "Hey, do you want to come in for an hour?" And they go, "Yeah, I'll be there. I'll drive." They love it. So, I mean, just coming up on Thursday, we have our Christmas party. So we're on the first floor of an office building. So we have the whole atrium with bartenders, catering. People love coming. Last year, we got 225 clients out. So not a bad showing. This year should be the same. So we had to turn it into a tradition. It was kind of a housewarming, but now it's an annual Christmas party. So people love coming in.
That's nice. I love that. So it sounds like then your clientele really ranges from, younger all the way up to, retired to, what is, just out of curiosity, do you know who the oldest client is that you work with still?
Yeah, the oldest client who comes in regularly is probably 89 years old.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
and that's good. That's also a case of getting out of the house and staying active, I think. He and his wife pop in once a week just to, you know, drop part of what they do is they drop their mail with Heather and Teresa in the back, and I say, "Is there anything, financial that I could mess up?" Usually no, but they just love to. It's an excuse, to see everyone and talk to us and laugh. So yeah, we love having people in.
Yeah, well, you're very much relationship oriented. That's obvious. I mean, I remember the first time when we first started talking that was obviously, who you were. And we talked earlier about how, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. When you think CPAs, you kind of sort of think, sort of like dry and boring or whatever, but sounds like that's just not the case in your world for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad always used to say, still does. He says this job is pick a percentage, but he says 70% therapy. Because a lot of times it's interfamilial, struggles, or people are expecting this, but I don't want to give them this, or they're not expecting this, but I want to give them all this money. How are they going to take it? Things like that. So a lot of it is so personal. It just goes way beyond the numbers. So yeah, I think that's why he's thrived in the business for sure.
Yeah, that's excellent. And sounds like it's gonna trickle down to the entire family. So do you have some nephews and nieces as well from your brothers, or um is this the is are you is this the first child in the family, first grandbaby?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. So my daughter Ava, she's the third. So Chris, who I work with, yeah, he has two. He has a son and a daughter. So they're all young though. So my parents are over the moon. New grandparents as of the last few years. So they're loving it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that there's no doubt about that. And again, it sounds like there's a very nice blend with that whole work-life balance. And as a financial advisor, obviously it gives you a lot of freedom to be able to do those types of things that, the daily grind of working for the man, so to speak, doesn't afford you to be able to do that. So I think that honestly, and Tim, maybe you'll, agree with this from all the meetings and conversations we've had with advisors. I don't know if there's a better profession to be in right now than being a financial advisor. And then with your disciplines that you've got, I think that the opportunities are endless for you.
Well, there's
Yeah.
definitely a big
Absolutely.
wave to catch, and it's kind of important. I remember somebody telling me a long time ago that it didn't matter. This is how important an industry is and where the industry is going, or how good you can be, because you really have to look at where the industry is going. And you could be the best horse and buggy maker in the Wild West or in the planet. And when Henry Ford invented the Model T, you're out of business. It's just like things changed, right? And
Yeah.
so if you're a car dealer if you start making cars versus buggies, you're probably going to be doing well. I was just actually talking to a car dealer who decided to buy a Volkswagen dealership. And he said back in the 70s, nobody was even buying the damn things. They just didn't want them. It was like, yeah. And, or no, it was the 80s. It was the 80s. Um, and it might have been later. Don't quote me on this. Okay, but the deal was that he bought the Volkswagen dealership because he had a lot of fun times in an old Volkswagen Bug, and some other guy that he loved dearly had a picture, or he was like, "Look, they're coming out. They're doing the new rendition of the Bug again." And so he ended up buying the dealership. They were selling like 5 cars a month, going out of business, and ended up doing like 4 million in sales the next year when that Bug launched, and people were dying to get into the showroom. It was crazy because he was right in front of the wave. And that's where the financial advisors are today. They're in front of a huge wave of money being transferred. So do a good job, show up and treat people right, and should do okay.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, I mean, as the great intergenerational wealth, I mean, Cerulli just came out with the most updated statistics, $84.4 trillion that are going to be, inherited by the next generation over the next, 24, 25 years. So again, I just don't think that there's a more prime time to be a financial advisor. And again, when you have that additional discipline with the CPA and that mindset and the numbers and everything, I mean, you guys have a phenomenal practice, and I applaud your efforts, and you would be well served to work with Andrew and his family environment over there.
I appreciate those kind words. Yeah, I agree, of course.
You're like, yes, yes, let's go, let's
Yeah,
go.
please keep going. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I know we're coming up on the next break and everything, but was there anything else you want to share about your practice that it might be important for any listener that could be a prospective client maybe that you want to let them know about?
Yeah, well, like you said, it's really relationship based. So we really count our clients as friends. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty boutique. We have about $1.2 billion of assets. We service about 400 to 500 families total. So you're really getting, quite focused service from our team. So yeah, we just have a great crew who has a ton of experience over here. Dare I say, our clients love us, but yeah, no, we've seen a lot of stuff. We have advisors from every generation, from my dad on down. So we're experienced, and we are always learning.
Love it. I love that.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll take another quick break. We get back. We'll flip into the healthy side of things when we return. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. All right, this is the point where we flip the script. So, Andrew, what's up as far as questions go for me and anything to do with health? It could be your health, a friend's health, your wife's health, your child's health. Could be public health. Could be health of the zoo animals. Whatever you want. Go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah, so as you know, winter is approaching in Detroit. So with that comes some vitamin D deficiency and sadness. But aside from that, I get home, let's say around 6:30. I got to take care of the kid, of course. My wife's she's on leave right now. So I get the kid, we put her down about 8 p.m. And then I have, 2 hours. And if I were to leave and go to Lifetime and come back, that would take probably even, with a shower and everything, take more than 2 hours. Do you have any advice on what I could do? Maybe a home workout, or I don't have a ton of equipment, but I don't know, maybe something to do with the home workout where I could get a sweat on in 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, number one, you don't really need any weight. Have you heard of calisthenics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's calisthenics and yoga. You can use your own body weight and you can use a chair or a bench and that kind of stuff, or just use the ground. I mean, getting around on the ground, a lot of people are, I teach yin yoga, and I also do a little qigong stuff with that. You can look into that, but I like to warm up with a couple qigong exercises, the one where you bounce real quick, like a little jackhammer for a minute to 5 minutes. And then the twisting one where you're rotating around the spine, your arms are slapping your sides. That kind of wakes up the spine and the organ systems. And I begin stretching, 3 to 10 minute stretching postures. And then, you could move into what's called a vinyasa flow. You might want to write that down, a vinyasa flow. So it'd be like a couple qigong exercises, then yin yoga, and then move into a vinyasa flow. And then, dude, it's a nonstop where you breathe in. Let's say you put your hands to the sky and you dive and you go you go down into a forward fold where your hands go down towards the ground, and then you hop or step back into plank pose where you're like in a push-up pose. Slowly lower down with your elbows going by your ribs, and then then flatten your feet onto the mat and look up and push yourself up into upward dog. I'm just giving you a basic one here.
Yeah.
You go from upward dog right into downward dog where you push away, where your hips go to the sky, you push away from the ground, and then your heels go to the floor. So you're kind of in a pike position.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a upside down dog, I guess. That's how dogs stretch. And then from there, you could do a lot of different stuff, or you could just hop or step back where your feet come back up to your hands. And then you slowly come up to the top, hands to the sky as you're breathing. The whole time you're doing breath work and your hands to sky. Oh, and I forgot one thing that I do in this one. That I hands to the sky, I dive again, forward fold, and then you do halfway lift where you actually come up halfway. So your legs are like this, but your body's horizontal.
Yeah.
So fold down, and then your upper body comes back halfway and then goes back down. Then the feet go back into plank. Then you do your slow descent down to the mat, upward dog, and then downward dog, and then hopper step back up, and then roll the spine back up, hands to the sky, and return. And you can just do that flow over and over, and you can. It's unbelievable. Like I told that story before, Carter, right? Where there was that old dude, that Indian, that guy from India that was like a healer. He did the yogi stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick, dude. So this guy's like 84 years old. He's done yoga for like 70 years. And on 6 days a week, and one day a week he would teach. He would see 200 to 400 people. He would go into town. He was a healer, like an Ayurvedic traditional medicine doctor. And one day the train was busted. He handed his baggage to his 2 handlers at 7:00 at night and hopped on the train tracks and ran 42 miles in the middle of the night. Got there at 4 a.m. And about, 1 or 2 in the afternoon, they finally got the train fixed, and his handlers got there, and then he was just seeing patients like normal. And they were telling him, like, no, look, he ran 42 miles, and he wasn't training for 42 miles.
Wow.
But to what I just shared with you is what he would do, doing a similar type of flow to that.
All right. Yeah. I will be rewatching this to write down exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Of course, sitting in a desk all day, it's.
Yeah. And you can do it. You could do it right there. You could like right there. Like when you get up, you could stretch, you can start doing this stuff. I do it all the time. I'm always stretching. And the more I do it, like a cat or a dog, my flexibility is coming back. Carter, I've been teaching yoga every morning since I got back here, 6 a.m. And one of my mentors, who's in his 80s, Dr. Gabriel Cousins, the dude's unbelievably healthy. One of the things he does yoga every morning at 6 a.m. I'm like, well, success leaves clues. I'm doing that. Right. And when I've done yoga, I feel awesome. I'm injury proof. If I do get injured, I heal faster. When I stopped doing yoga because of COVID and they shut downs, I started getting stiffer. I'm 50, and I started getting stiffer, and then I started having injuries. And now that I'm doing the yoga again, one of my old injuries, this it's the IC band. I can't remember what it was called. It's finally opening up. A week and a half of really in the downward dogs and the leg stretches and stuff. Today, I finally felt it open up a little bit. I'm like, oh, I got progress. It's just that it's consistency. It's really consistency. The reason why wild creatures are healthy is because they have a consistent lifestyle. They have consistent routines. They wake up, they're out at night feeding, let's say, in the alfalfa field. They go get a drink of water. They go up and bed on the tree. They make their rounds. They do their thing. If there's trouble, they run over here to the bushes to hide. They have their patterns. And every fall, their neck swells up, and the does go into utero. They go into heat basically, and then there's mating season. And there's cycles, and we're no different. And so the closer you can get back to these natural cycles of life, and one of them is movement and moving on the daily, because the downside is for financial advisors is you're very sedentary, right? Very sedentary. And I can't remember what the numbers are. I mean, I could look it up, right? I don't want to mess with my computer because I want to touch it because it'll go crazy on me. I literally don't want to touch it. But it's like sitting down on your butt for an hour is like the equivalent of like smoking a cigarette or something like that. I mean, it's that bad. So for every hour that you sit on your butt, you need to be moving your body for at least 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I could do
So,
that. Yeah, I like that a
so
lot.
you work an 8 hour day, 80 minutes, you need to have some movement, stretching, movement, walking, taking the kids out you have a daughter or a son?
A daughter.
Yeah. But is she little, like tiny,
Yeah, yeah, very.
like 4 months old or something?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
put her in a stroller and take her for a walk. Take your wife, get your wife out of the house.
Right. Yeah. No, it's
Muy
so true. I've
importante.
noticed what you're saying is true. When I was a CPA, about the injury proof part, when I was CPA, you'd be locked in, whatever, in the office 65
Yeah.
hours a week,
17
right?
hours.
And sitting and typing, and obviously your wrist hurts and everything like that. But that's small potatoes compared to what it would do to my lower back, just like being compressed all day. I would always tweak my back.
Yeah.
Sometime, it'd start in January, and I'd feel fine. But by mid-February, I'd literally bend down to dry my feet off after a shower, pop my lower back, and couldn't walk for 2 days.
Yeah.
But the
It's
more
silly.
I'm active, the less it ever affects me.
Right. So that forward fold, and look that up, yin yoga forward fold. You're basically, and a lot of people are like, oh, I can't touch my toes. And you're not trying to keep your legs straight. You're not trying to touch your toes. I mean, we want that, but not
Yeah.
everybody's there. The most important thing when you bend forward is bending your knees enough to make sure that the tops of your thighs are on your belly. That is the most important thing. It's not how straight your legs are. And you just hang and you let your head hang. And this is an important point. Yin yoga is like, and I've talked about this before, think of it like taffy. Okay. You got taffy. And if you have taffy, and I guess I can do it here. It's hard because the cameras makes me look like if you got taffy, right, and you pull on it really fast, you snap it, right? But your fascia, which is the largest organ in the body, if you pull it really slowly, if you just take it and pull it really slow, it'll open up. And that's how your fascia works. So this is literally medicine. So the first 90 seconds in a stretch are just warming up the fascia. The next 90 seconds and beyond is when the movement begins and the healing begins and the medicine begins. So think about it. You set your watch and you start doing a stretch, 90 seconds feels like forever.
Yeah.
And most people have never even stretched that long. They do a stretch and they go on to the next. Nobody's really ever opened up their fascia. I'm almost to the point now where I don't even think it's doing anything except for maybe, your movement. I mean, there's obviously some benefit there, but the tremendous benefit I've seen from 3 to 10 minute holding postures is quite profound. I've had people that have neck and back injuries for just tightness and soreness for years. Dude, 15, 20 minutes of yin yoga and like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Right.
Yeah.
So your lower back, that's something you could do. You could just remember yourself every time I stand up in my chair, maybe I just hang here for 3 minutes. And then I go about my day. And then I come back and just always doing it, always doing it. That's a great one. And then that flow that you'll do that I showed you, that one will also, because when you're taking the spine one way and then you want to take the spine the other way too, but just be very careful because when you're doing upward dog, that one's, that's why I have people do the qigong twisting first, because we got to starting to warm your body up, warm up the spine. And then also when you're breathing, make sure you're breathing, especially in the morning, in through the nose and out through the nose. And that will start creating heat and building heat in the body. And then when you breathe in the nose and out the mouth, that'll help start to cool the body down. So you can in nose, out nose to warm up. And then if you do an intense workout, maybe you end your flow. And then towards the end, you sit there and meditate for a second, in the nose, out the mouth, and start bringing cool the body down.
Nice. Yeah. That's some great advice. Yeah. I love it. Also, I have one more for you.
Yo, and I was going to say, if you'd mentioned something, get an infrared sauna. Everybody needs one today. A far infrared sauna. And I've been yelling at Carter for a year and he finally got one. And you have a code now. You can get them on my site, but you can get them through you now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And get it through Carter. It guarantee, it's got a 30-day money back guarantee. I put my kids' eyes on it that you're not going to return it. But if you do, they'll refund your money. But nobody's ever returned one.
No, it's
profound. I wouldn't have time to get into it because but there is, this sauna broke a natural law. There is no other sauna that does what this one does. I've been a sauna dealer for like 12 years now. It's cheap, it's profound, and it works. So there you go. That'll help you get some pushing the toxins out, and your kids can get into it too as they get older, and your wife will get into it. It'll be a savior for her. If she is dealing with any stress, probably not with a new child, right?
Oh yeah, all smooth sailing all the time.
Yeah, literally 10, 15, 20 minutes in that thing. And it'll be like she did a 90-minute hot yoga class. All of her, it'll completely relax her nervous system,
Wow.
stop her adrenal glands from spiking and her cortisol levels from it'll calm her down, calm her nervous system down. It'll help with milk production. It helps with so much. And by the way, that child needs at least 2 years of breastfeeding. That's the prerequisite to build that child's immune system. You want to take, man, really good care of that your wife and make sure that she's hydrated and eating lots of good nutrition so she can produce milk for at least that prerequisite 2 years. Otherwise, you're going to have her life and your life is going to be much harder with a sickly child than it would be if you make sure that they get that good quality breast milk for that 2 year period.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Go ahead. What's your next question, bud?
Yes. So I was wondering, chemical free is something I saw. One of your mantras. What are some of your favorite everyday foods that you eat?
Sprouts. Lots of sprouts. Everything's sprouted. Sunflower sprouts, pea sprouts, buckwheat, lettuce, fava bean sprouts, broccoli sprouts, red clover sprouts, radish sprouts, alfalfa sprouts, mung bean sprouts, red, French, and green lentils. All those can be. You could be growing those literally. You could go buy some tonight, and then in 2 days you could have lentil sprouts ready to roll.
Right on.
Right on your countertop. No dirt, no nothing. There's an episode on my show, but you have to look for the sprouting one. I cover about 90% of all sprouting. You get started right there. And so sprouts, and people are like, oh, sprouts. Well, why? They're living foods. They actually flood the body with biophotons and make you younger, have more brain capacity. You'll perform better. You're flooding your body with all these chemicals that God had put in nature that have the ability to prevent and reverse disease. So you turn your food into a medicine rather than just a meal. It's pretty profound. I'm not saying eat all sprouts, but if you do, you will have twice the cellular vibrational frequency of a newborn child if you choose to go that route. But most people aren't going to do it, especially right out of the gate because they're eating burgers. So throw some sprouts on your burger.
Yeah, right.
and then have a big pile of sprouts. And they look at them, like, when people see me eat a sprout salad, they're like, oh my God, you eat so many sprouts. I'm like, you don't understand. There's a lot of air in here. I can take a big handful and chew it all up into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at your food by weight. Like even one egg, you would have to have a big pile of sprouts to equal the weight of one egg or a burger or something like that.
Right.
So look into sprouted stuff, sprouted nuts, sprouted seeds, sprouted grains, sprouted beans. These things are on average 8 times more digestible, and their nutrition is up 100 to 800% more nutritious than just eating it dry in its dormant state with those natural. Yeah, check that out.
Cool. I will. Absolutely.
Cool.
Anything else that you got for my man, my chemical free co-host here?
No, those are my two main ones. Those are I can't wait to get into the yoga. My brother does it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to do it. I'm like, I know. So I will get into it. It's something I can just do anywhere. And my back is always sore. So
yeah, the other thing for your back, bro, that will help is called a acupressure mat. Acupressure. There's quite a few companies. There's one company called Spoonk, SPOONK, Spoonk mat. And you can get the combo set for like $80 or something like that. And you can have one at the office. If I travel long distances, you can just lay on the darn things. And then if you want to go super badass, then there's a company out of it's over in Europe. It's called Lycpro, and they have the metal ones. They have like metal needles, and it's a metal. That's things super healing. And I found out about them because of people had bad lower backs.
Yeah.
And dude, there's crazy things that hurt people's backs. Setting poor posture. You need to invest in a really good chair. In fact, that chair is killing your back. Right.
Oh yeah. This is the conference room. Don't worry, my chair's
Yeah,
up there. Yeah, my chair is better than this one. This one is killing my back.
It doesn't matter what the mystique is. Your life's more important than mystique. If you have a small group of people, you just tell them, and they'll be interested in what you're doing. You get those balls that you can sit on with the little legs on them.
Oh yeah.
You're working your core the whole time.
Yeah.
Give yourself the proper posture. Chairs will just make you kind of slouching like this. everything. You want your electrical body, your spine to be working, your proper, your shoulders should be straight back and straight, not hunching forward, right? That's going to limit your breath and shallow breathing. You want your shoulders back. You want full lung breath, breathing from the stomach, then into the chest.
Yeah.
Getting that stomach moving, very important. You know, we breathe supposedly, hopefully, 400 gallons of air an hour. And if you're shallow breathing, you're not getting as much. So it's very, oxygen levels are very important too. But we appreciate you coming on the show. And I guess the only thing I could say, because you have a newborn and you have a child, is like, you should definitely look into our Nano Silver products that we have. We have a gel and a solution, and you and your wife can stand. It's your first line of defense. I didn't even see this, Carter. We had Dr. Keith Muller come on and do a presentation for all the doctors down here for this doctor's influencer event. Unbelievable. The pictures we saw with people in burn victims and what it does, and you know, type 2 diabetic and open ulcers and stuff like that, and sunburns. Some of this gal was like toast red, and just in days healed up, and it's not painful. And your wife will love it, because not only can she use it for cuts and burns and scrapes and all that stuff with your kid or eye infection. I mean, it's unbelievable. Diaper rash, all that stuff, but it's also the best cleanser toner for her face to clean her pores, and if she does any, you know, natural skin creams or makeup stuff. Hopefully that stuff's chemical free too. But those are products that I think, oh my God, this guy's getting patents and stuff like that. The gel, I think, just got approved in Health Canada for all skin afflictions and affections. You guys, if you don't understand like Health Canada and how hard they are to get anything approved, like I told the doctors here, and they were like, they know it's like, it's like an act of God, and it's done. And it's like, basically it cures we can say it cures all skin afflictions and affections. That's pretty much anything with the skin. That's just the gel. And this guy's dad invented it with a bunch of guys on accident. It wasn't what they were trying to invent. It was kind of like, what was that stuff? The sticky notes. They were trying to develop an invincible glue that would never break apart, and they ended up getting this kind of crappy glue that kind of worked but didn't. And sticky notes, multi-million-dollar business. It was a failed experiment. Well, that happened with this Nano Silver, and the way they bonded it creates a continuous. It's like a triple action, and it just destroys pathogens in the body like nothing we've ever seen, with zero side effects at all, no harm at all. That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable stuff. We're going to be coming out with toothpaste and a mouth rinse as well very soon, besides the gel and the solution. So we're really excited about that, because, you know, things like drinking enough water, having acupressure mat, doing yin yoga, and having some good quality products in your home. These are the things that you're creating that lifestyle, right? Just like the deer, you're having good quality stuff around you and good movement patterns. And if you do that, you're going to live a long, healthy life and set a good example for your daughter.
Absolutely. I appreciate the recommendations.
You're welcome, brother.
Awesome. Hey, Enrichers, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. And to be able to see all of our previous guests, like Andrew Nemes from Novi, Michigan, please go to our website at www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Podbean, whatever the case may be. So as is normal, I am so thankful to have my chemical-free body host here all the way from Colombia, joining us for our episode, and having our guest today, Andrew Nemes, to be able to join us. Andrew, seriously, so much thankfulness to have you on the show today. Tis the season, Christmas right around the corner, so we're very thankful and grateful to have you on the show today.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time, guys. It was great.
Thanks, Andrew.
Absolutely. So until next time, Enrichers, we will see you on the Health and Wealth Podcast. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Enrichers, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.